Thank you to the Siege and the Sandfox for sponsoring today's video. Have you ever wanted to play a 2D metroidvania? Well, sure you have. There's about 1 million of these on Steam and other platforms for that matter. But how many of those games revolve around stealth? You see, the Siege and the Sandfox is a stealth game in its entirety. You are an assassin called the Sandfox who must uncover a secret plot among the royal family. Hiding in boxes, stealing keys from guards, and climbing across the ceiling to avoid scary sand creatures is just your daily work now. Collecting various tools used among your clan can give you new powers, such as running up walls, gliding across large stretches of air, and much later on, reclaiming your unique dagger. Join me on this adventure as I attempt to 100% the Siege and the Sandfox. As an army makes its way towards the palace, we scurry as fast as we can to the king. Just to be clear, we will be 100%ing the in-game percentage and not the Steam achievements. There's one on there that requires you to go undetected throughout the entire playthrough, which let me tell you is as close to impossible as an achievement comes. Actually, on a repeat playthrough, you could probably manage it, but since I only had one go here, that's not happening. That being said, we're of course gonna stop to pet the cat, because it's kind of a crime not to. Upon arriving at the king's chambers to offer aid, we find him dead. He has been murdered by the queen, yet with all of her power, we have been found guilty of the heinous act. Our own glass dagger strikes us down before our lifeless body is thrown deep into the pit. That's a game over if I ever heard of one. But wait, we're somehow still alive. Seems unlikely, but I'll roll with it for the time being. Making our way out of this pit, let's go over the basics. Anytime you run over this sandfox symbol, that activates a checkpoint. Standing in an enemy's view will have them investigate the area. You can hide to avoid their gaze, heck, even standing completely still sometimes causes them to lose interest. Platforms such as these allow you to hang from them, and you can put out torchlight pretty much anytime there's a light around. I found the torchlight mechanic to not really matter much. They can cause guards to stop there for a second to relight them, but otherwise it's very easy to just keep them lit and stay hidden. Anytime there's a patrol, we can hide in a pot or barrel until danger passes, and most doors will let you peek through the keyhole in case someone is on the other side. Wall jumping can get you to areas you aren't quite tall enough to reach, and yeah, that's kind of the basic idea here. Jumping across some pillars, we meet with a tattered woman. She's kind of stuck down here as the elevator's up on a different floor and has been for days. While crouched, our footsteps make almost no noise, letting us steal the key off of this guard's belt. In a nearby room, we unlock the Blackjack, a useful tool of the Sandfox that lets you knock out enemies who haven't detected you. Very useful, as you might imagine. Unfortunately, I messed this up immediately and got caught for the first of many times. A second run at it proves much more efficient as we meet with a small bandaged girl. She's essentially the fast travel system. Speak to her and she can take you to any other location where she is found throughout the map. Right now, we can teleport to where we're standing, which is not very far. More importantly, near here is a small village-like area. The people down here were imprisoned for one reason or another. One of the uglier people, the game's opinion, not mine, stands guard for what is called the Underkings, basically the rich among the prisoners. A starving man kindly asks me to find his pet rat who has escaped. The elevator is nearby, which we activate. To our left is another tool in our kit called foot wraps. With these, we can now run straight into walls and run up them to reach higher places. You can only run about this distance up any wall, but it's enough to reach plenty more of the map. Oh yeah, I tried to knock out that sleeping guard from earlier, but turns out anyone with a helmet is immune. Which, yeah, I should have expected that, really. Inside a place called the Bridge of Knives, we encounter cultists following a new religion. What exactly are they doing down here in the dark? Who knows? But luckily, we don't need that information to bonk them on the head. Underneath these fanatics, we meet with an old man. He and his fellow men hold me and my predecessors in very high regard, demonstrate our skills in front of them, and a fancy reward awaits us. The challenge takes place in a mushroom grove, very dark tunnels where the only light visible emanates from glowing mushrooms. There was a single tricky section where you need to slide down a ledge and then jump off. Don't just jump off, or it's a long and painful way down. Our reward for a fairly simple challenge is a set of lockpicks. These allow us, the Sandfox, to make our way through almost any door. And actually, this is a small mini game where you want to time the small line exactly when it's in the gray. Each lock will eventually open either way, but a perfect timing speeds up the process exponentially. After knocking out a few more guards, we meet back up with the tattered woman. She has found the elevator we reactivated. To thank us, she brought it further down so we can return to the prison town. While going back down the elevator, I stepped off too early and found a, let's call it a minor bug. Seems I'm floating in the air, unable to interact with either the door or the lever. A simple exit to main menu and back fixes the issue instantly, letting me pick my way into the rat-infested tunnels. Aha! This must be the man's friend. Better get him back to his worried owner. At last, we can reunite these two. And he ate the rat right in front of me. Apparently, friend was in quotes, and now I am forever scarred emotionally. In order to reach the Underkings, we will need to steal a bribe for the guard. Picking my way through a door left of town, we can drop down onto our first seal. These are collectibles around the map that give you small bits of lore related to the Kashai, the group of assassins our Sandfox is a part of. Past the cultists, once again, we can find another before speaking with someone who is very lost. He's looking for Navaid, and he's worried for the man. Actually, the man owes him some knuckle bones, but I'll count it as caring just because. With a second fast travel point encountered, we can teleport up near the food stores. Obviously, many of the guards went to a forceful sleep during this process, allowing me easy access to a fine leg of meat. The ugly man accepts this bribe, buying me entry into the Underking's decrepit palace. Gambling is the primary hobby amongst these folk, but none are quite as bad at their hobby as Jahan. He's terrible. In fact, he's lost so much money that we're tasked with placing a mirror above the craps table for him. Unfortunately, I don't think this will give him the edge he's looking for. At least he does mention that the stonemason might have some dirt on the queen. Swinging across the windowsills, it's time we speak with the Underking Roshan. He asks us to humiliate a fighter in the arena who has never lost. So you're thinking, oh, we need to take this guy down in a 1v1. Of course not, man. You gotta start thinking like an assassin here. Instead, we speak with Vashti and agree to deface a painting of Roshan, the guy that just hired us. After accepting a double cross, we triple cross that cross and drop a chandelier onto Vashti's prized fighter. That guy's not fighting again anytime soon. Our fat friend has a key to the iron hold, which is now ours to claim. And the poor fellow we cheated out of a win still hasn't woken up. Sorry about that, big guy. But I've got more important things to get done. The iron hold is fairly annoying. These imprisoned people scream bloody murder anytime you get near them. This alerts the guards, which isn't ideal, but the sound is deafening. Just be glad you can't hear it right now. You're very welcome. Well, looks like some doors can't be picked, meaning we still need to collect a key here. After the man goes back to sleep, it's no trouble at all. I was sure to free this troubled man here, as he's friends with the fellow we found back near the cultists. After getting caught rather brutally, I had to find some way to steal another key. Except this one was protected by 2 screaming prisoners. Had to be a bit quicker about it to avoid another headache. Scurrying down another few ledges, we hear very loud wailing coming from this cell. The poor guy's crying his eyes out, as he deserves a much better cage that has a decent view. Fine, I'll force the transfer if I'm ever able to find the captain's office. Just please stop crying, for goodness sake. Another key stolen, another door opened. And then we do the same thing, which was far easier as this guy wasn't even on patrol or anything. Sliding down some green moss, we can grab the chest plate accessory, which this one's kinda weird. Mechanically, it's pretty cool. You hang from any platform above broken bridges and you can slam down through them. Even better, this can knock out anyone, including helmeted soldiers. But why would a chest plate of all things give you this power? I can only imagine it's because you're heavier now. You use this power to knock out 2 more guards and collect another seal. The really fun aspect to this game is each encounter can be solved how you want to solve it. Sneak past every guard undetected, sprint past them before they can grab you, or knock them all out to avoid any risk whatsoever. There's a few blocks in this section we can push around, giving us entrance to a small treasure room. This looks like the painting we're supposed to deface, although it looked pretty absurd to begin with. Vashti is more than pleased to hear of our success. She writes us a note for one of the guards that should give us access to the queen. Haha, you thought he was gonna let us in. Nope, he's just as much of a jerk as everyone else around here. Down we fall. Again. Hopping in this minecart, we break through to an abandoned mine shaft. Moving a box around lets us collect another seal. But uh-oh, this looks a lot more dangerous than the guard-filled halls we're used to. Mystical sand spirits lie in waiting to devour us at first glance. Looks like we are doing more hiding than not, if we ever want to make it out of here alive. Aha! Looks like breaking these vases will cause all surrounding sand monsters to well, turn back into regular sand. Vase after vase gets turned to dust as we climb our way out to another fast travel girl, but then we use an elevator to re-enter this accursed place because I think there's more to be learned here. Containers filled with rubies can be traversed to get out of the water. Found a music sheet down here, which is pretty interesting. Pretty sure someone wanted one of those at one point. I'll have to check back in with them later. And finally, through those tricky jumps, we can enjoy a peaceful cart ride down into another pool of water. Dang it. Should probably stop trusting these at this point. Pulling a lever lets us swim to the top and collect another seal. The same lever system gives us access deeper down into the water, which I guess being an assassin lets you breathe underwater infinitely. Not that I'm complaining, but a little less plot armor and our poor Sandfox would have been stuck in this damp room forever. Luckily, all this swimming was worth it as we now gain climbing gloves. These let us climb up any of the walls that look like this. They can be wooden or made out of rock, it doesn't really matter. Any of them we've passed up are now open for business. Another seal to be found, another vase to be smashed with a seal next to it as well. And after avoiding more sand monsters than I can count, we finally reconnect with the bandaged girl yet again. We give this guard a good talking to for wasting our time. At last, however, we have reached the barracks. Well, we did, but I really wanted to go back and check out another mossy section I had seen. This is a huge section of platforming that has you jump up gusts of wind, avoid poisonous flowers that can drop you in a second, and slide down caves quickly enough to grab several stalagmites. Stalactites? I can never remember which is which. Those pointy rocks hanging from cave ceilings. Ultimately, there was nothing down here. We did reach another fast travel point, and the section is probably the most fun to traverse I've seen yet. But nothing down there is kind of odd. Probably something for later I wasn't supposed to do yet. It's here we get our first look at dogs. Animals of keen smell, they can detect you if you're within a certain range from them. So knockouts are impossible unless we get the drop from above. Captain Reza can be seen giving guards orders. We need his key, but right now isn't exactly safe. As a Sandfox, we know our way around more hidden areas of this castle. So as long as we knock out those we can and stay close, there should be an opportunity to grab the key in our future. I'll be honest, this was probably the most difficult section of stealth in the game. There are guards everywhere. Now, you can't avoid all of them by sticking to the rafters, essentially, but up there it was very hard to see where the captain was. Anytime I tried to explore around more, I was caught and sent back to square one. Even once, I managed to reach the captain, but that silly elevator put me right in front of his bodyguard. But after wrapping around to the right instead, I dropped down on both, collecting the key. After I had the layout pictured in my head, it was no problem at all. Now we can drop onto several guards and enter the captain's quarters. Forge a bit of paperwork here and looks like a job well done. Our entitled acquaintance feels much more at home in this prison. I mean, just look at that view. Too bad I didn't get anything out of this quest. I just gave this man a life of luxury for no reason at all. About now, I remembered that music sheet I'd picked up, but the only musician I knew couldn't play it. Huh, I definitely didn't expect that. Now felt like a good time to retrace some of my steps and collect a few seals I had missed. Several are locked behind the hand wraps upgrade, letting you climb certain walls. After that was done, I made my way back down towards the cultists and found dust walkers hanging around. These villainous ninjas can teleport using dark magic. Whatever was going on down here was bad news. The cradle may hold some answers as many sick individuals are being taken care of here. Leader of the lantern bearers works to help the sick with her medicine. She claims Dr. Zachariah is the one to speak to, but before showing me the way, she would like a few mushrooms. And while that sounds like a good quest step to follow, I meandered around exploring random pathways instead. Listen, it's a metroidvania. You explore as much as you can, when you can. Main quests, those come second. I mean, that's just how these things go. During this, I found my way back to the beginning of the game. Before we fell down the pit, this area had been filled with merchants. The Mason was still here at least. He confirms that the Queen had commissioned him to make several wicked idols. Evidence we will need for later on. At the bottom of a well in the back, we can collect a pair of hook pads. These allow you to crawl along any metal rod hung above rooms. They help us acquire another seal and overall give us more ways to avoid detection if they're present. Turns out avoiding your civil duty is useful as the Dustwalkers were hiding another one of my tools. Leather greaves let you slide after sprinting, which is used to open up small metal gates all over the map. A lot of times these are blocking paths that lead to fast travel points, so pretty nice discovery. While I play around with more cultists, I do want to complain about one thing really quickly. The map system in this game is not my favorite. You've got one that shows you where you are and a basic layout of anything you've discovered. You can swap over to an overview of the entire region, giving you the bigger named locations. Then you have the fast travel map, which is only seen at the bandaged girl. Unfortunately, it's very confusing to figure out where you're actually wanting to travel. Often I would have to look at my map a few times and then open up fast travel to look for the name. I don't even think there's really a good fix for this, but until I'd uncovered most of the map, it made for many Bloodborne-like moments. You know, where you just kind of teleport around to locations randomly because you don't know the name of where you were last. A nitpick to be sure, but something I noticed several times over. All this exploring had led me deep into some catacomb-like tunnels. There was a bandaged man down here who wouldn't let me through without a password, of which I did not know. Close by was a creepy couple who were talking about some secret happenings. I stuck close by and followed them to learn more. After a while, they made their way to the bandaged man and revealed the password. "We are Five Fingers," spoken aloud, gains me access to whatever weird group this is. The drummer down here was actually able to play that music I'd found before, so that's another load off my chest. Through a door on the side hides one seal that was out of my reach before. Then it was time to speak with the committee of the Dead Hand. Turns out these guys are the good guys, even though they're kinda dark. If we are able to break the hand off of a statue, then we can go see the Corpse Man. Now, I didn't know who this was really, but breaking things is something I'm more than familiar with. Oh yeah, the mushrooms, I should probably go get those first. The group of parkour enthusiasts who love me to death had a few. They would send the mushrooms up immediately, and the medic seems a little too happy to receive those mushrooms if you ask me. But she does tell me where to find Dr. Zachariah, so I'll leave her be. This wise man seemed kinda surprised to see me as the Sandfox, almost as if he doesn't recognize me. Regardless, he will help us kill the queen by reforging our glass dagger, but only if we provide enough evidence that she is indeed evil. We already have the vase of black sand the cultists are using to perform dark arts. We also already have the writ used to imprison Jahan, since he was on duty when the queen murdered the king. And finally, we have a Duskwalker idol that proves men are being converted into magical fighters for an unseen army. But all of this is not quite enough for Zachariah to turn on those he's promised to serve. Which, hey, that's fair, I'll give him that. In better news, we found a second musical sheet, which this man can in fact play. So now all the musicians are happy, making the prison a better place, one step at a time. The Gardens is a beautiful area filled with luscious green plants and various waterfalls. We have to avoid many a guard, of course, but the scenery is quite nice. At least that's how I was thinking at first, but now there's snakes hiding out in the grass. I take it back. The Gardens? They're not for me. Down below this large statue, we swim over to the other side. I fell a few times, which makes you climb all the way back around. Kinda frustrating, unless you feel like simply getting caught, since that sends you to the top checkpoint. Atop the stone structure, we crash down onto the hand, breaking it in two. We are now permitted to visit the Corpse Man, although his name isn't making me feel very welcome. Fitting, since we would need to traverse an extremely dangerous set of traps protecting his location. Riding an elevator up, we will need to speed through a parkour section while trying not to linger in the deadly poison clouds. I failed several times, as it wasn't quite clear if I should wait for the elevator or not. Turns out you can just speed through as fast as possible, only waiting for the slow platform at the top. Once through, we get to a checkpoint and must repeat the process in a much trickier section. Honestly, it's one of the bigger highlights of the game. Not sure lore-wise why the shaft would be poisoned, since in theory people would need to go up here from time to time, but it makes for a very cool bit of gameplay. Platforming makes up practically 98% of this game, so we aren't doing anything too out of the ordinary, but you never really put on a timer like this anywhere else. Although this particular jump here is a little too tight in my opinion. Oh well. At the top, we can finally speak with the Corpse Man. He claims to have encased the king's body here. While doing so, he noticed nightcap mushroom poison on the king's lips. More proof for Zachariah, it seems. Trying to now sneak my way into the king's old bedchambers was quite the ordeal. The elite guard here would not let me through without permission from Dr. Z, forcing me to go a different and more convoluted direction. Jumping onto ladders you might see in an old library, we can move through to some buttons. Pressing them will activate a bell near you. The idea is to have two bells active at the same time, forcing an elevator to drop. Wall running and sliding gets the job done no problem. Well, on the second floor, we must repeat the process. Another music sheet was hidden here in the corner, and while I was a tad confused here for some time, you just need to drop back down and swing up. With access to the top floor, we can get incredibly lost. Found a seal at least, but since I wasn't checking my map at the time, we kinda went the complete wrong direction. Hey, a little exploring clears out more of the map, so nothing lost really. With another seal acquired outside a previously locked door, we scurry back up and drop into the king's bedchamber. Underneath the covers was a stone tablet carved with black magical rites. One would think to go speak with Dr. Zachariah about now. Except, I took a different approach. This is probably the only time during this game where you aren't given a quest marker, and since it had been like 4 hours since I spoke to Dr. Z, I more or less completely forgot about him. It took looking back at my already recorded footage to remember this dude was important. So I have about 2.5 hours where I retraced most of the map. With a sigh of relief from me, Zachariah has seen enough evidence that the queen has indeed betrayed us. She's using black magic to take over the kingdom for her own foul purposes. Back in the library once again, we can scale a wall opening up Zachariah's secret laboratory. It is here that he reforges our glass dagger and sends a letter to the guard allowing us through. We now make the long walk to the tippity top of this palace. Sandy dunes in the background look beautiful and really portray how nice this game's artwork is. Probably one of the best aspects it has going for it. Closer to the queen than ever before, we get some very odd dialogue from the handmaidens. One theme that isn't really thrown in your face and more hinted at is that people should in theory know who you are. I guess the Sandfox worked with the king before and so he's kind of renowned. Well, none of the important characters seem to recognize you, but the handmaidens, they do. In fact, they actually yell at you as you walk past as if you betrayed them or something. Special female rogues guard the queen, and they're more keen than most. We'll need to clamber under the inner walls over a dangerous drop to avoid attention. A genuinely scary section as 3 super tricky jumps drop you very far down. Mess up and there's quite a lot to repeat is what I'm saying. But eventually, our mighty Sandfox powers get us back up and past all the very serious ladies. Conk a few of them on the head, and now it's time for the queen. We drop in and unsheath our glass dagger, when suddenly a flashback appears. The original Sandfox was actually buried when he fell. In his place, one of the queen's very own handmaidens took up the cloak and vowed to finish his work. But as the memory fades, we see only a pile of sand as the queen escapes from our grasp. Dr. Z explains that the queen has made herself immortal. To stop her, we must locate 4 secret vases filled with her essence and destroy them. To do this, we are given a wingsuit or gliding apparatus. With the wing cape, we should be able to get back through past areas easily. Or so I thought. Let's break some jars, shall we? The first is closer to the fall where we first took up the cloak. You need to glide across to an undersection and boom. Step 1 is marked off. Now let's go ahead and do that all over again because I fell to my death. Our next target is found closer to the glowing mushroom area, a bit more flying up to a secluded cave, and we've got 2 of 4. Making our way deep into the mine system again, we can clear a bit of water that had me curious before, and it looks like only 1 more to go. Of course, it's in the mossy section that had nothing before. It makes perfect sense now. We had to have the glide suit because without, there's no way over the deadly poison. Even with, it's kinda tricky. But with that, the queen is now destroyed. Ha! That's what you thought. No, she's still out beyond the castle hiding from me. To reach her, you have to float on over this pipe and block section that doesn't do anything for you earlier on, when you don't have the cloak. Jump across all these platforms, move a few levers, and it took me some time to figure out, but we're now beyond the walls where an interesting message pops up. Beyond this is a point of no return, meaning I need to go get all the collectibles I don't have now. And here lies the giant red flag that hit me at the very end of the game. I went down into the cave system again to look for 1 extra seal there. Each region of the map tells you how many seals are there and how many you don't have. I was missing 1 in this mine shaft, or so I thought. As I went to look for the seal, I reached a section from earlier on where you drop into the water and need to pull a lever for the gate to open. There is no way out of this room except through the gate. Well, guess what? The lever doesn't work. I think this is a bug where because the game doesn't expect us to come back down here, it just shuts off the lever for good. But regardless, that's it. 20 minutes of story left, and there's nothing more we can do. No way out, because reverting to last checkpoint takes me to this one down here. And you can't fast travel unless you're speaking to the little bandaged girl. Boom. Game over in the worst way possible. Now, a normal person would call it quits. But for those watching the channel for a long time will know I am no normal person. Instead, I just beat the entire game again on a second save file. Every single quest, done twice. 200% of the map, explored. The queen, stabbed twice. 8 total pots broken instead of 4. Yep, that's how I turned 8-ish hours of gameplay into around 24 hours of pure platforming nightmare. And what I found during all this was even more disturbing. The real problem with this game has to do with the seals. On the map, you can see here it says 0 out of 0 seals. So there aren't any in that area, right? Wrong. There is at least one I had to go back and get. The seal in this blue area counted for the one in the Iron Fort. This is a huge problem with the collectibles in this game, because what got me soft-locked in the mines in the first place was looking for a seal there, but actually I already had all the seals in the mines. What I was missing was the collectible in the mossy area. Now that I collected it on my second character, the mines now say 5 out of 5, even though it was just 4 out of 5. To underail this tangent, I had to beat the whole game again, and eventually I was able to collect all 25 seals by watching my own footage back, since the in-game system is completely broken. Again, sponsored video, which I greatly appreciate from these guys, but this is a giant downside for the game. I did contact the marketing guy who reached out to me about this, and he sent them my remarks, so hopefully this will get fixed, or already is, since I only played the beta. Anyway, you might be asking about the Queen. Since a knife in the back and her 4 soul jars being destroyed, it doesn't seem to have stopped her. Well, out on the point of no return, we can glide over the desert, or more accurately, glide over an army. The Queen has another tribe of people, several turncoat guards, and many sand sorcerers ready to take over the palace. The encampment is massive, and again, I have to point out just how beautiful this game looks. Touching ground again, we must sneak past the deadly army. You can skip most of what is here, but turns out there are many sand jars to break if you go off on side paths. I was unable to get the break all jars achievement because somewhere in beating the game twice, I must have missed one. But you would need to make sure to break the last few here if you were trying to go for it. Only 2 more glides await us as we wait for the Queen. The traitorous woman who killed the king, murdered the real Sandfox, and planned to destroy this kingdom. We plunge our dagger into her backside, severing the evil soul within her. A pretty cool scene plays out, but it's filled with flashing white light, so I skipped over it. A mere handmaiden has become the Sandfox, and saved the people from a devious witch. You get to see how everybody's story ended, with Dr. Zachariah becoming the new leader. Everyone lives happily ever after, essentially, as we, the new Sandfox, slip away without only a note to say goodbye. The handmaiden Sandfox became a hero. Some might even say she was a true legend. So that's 100% completion, right? Wrong. With all that, we only get about 80% done. There's some other collectible in the game that I had 0 out of 29 for. I assumed, oh, I go back in the game and there's more to find? Well, no, because you just start at your last checkpoint before the Queen. I can only assume these scrolls aren't in the beta, or maybe they weren't included in the game at all. I'm not really sure about this, unfortunately, and I don't really care. After beating the game twice over, I'm counting this as 100% completion, even if technically this should mean a fail. Would I recommend this game? Yes. If you like the idea of playing pure stealth, then yes, it is actually a really fun experience. The story's very cool and probably one of the best I've seen for like this Middle Eastern style, I would call it. The platforming isn't always as tight as you want it, but for the most part, it's pretty great. NPC quests are good, and they make you interested in the characters for sure. Art style is absolutely beautiful and definitely a highlight of the game. But, and that's a big but unfortunately, the map is slightly annoying to teleport around until you know the game well. Fast travel only being accessible at certain spots drags the game out quite a bit, even though Metroidvanias do this a lot. Collectibles are all out of whack. 29 of them just not existing in my game, unless I missed something, and the seals just not being accurately counted kills a major selling point for Metroidvanias. Also, there's a potential soft lock. I hope you don't go down into the mines a second time, because otherwise, it's game over. I'm hoping the buggy parts will get ironed out, or already are on actual release of the game, which should be right now as of me writing this. Once again, thank you to the Siege and the Sandfox for sponsoring this video. If you want to check out the game, I'm sure they would appreciate it. Again, the story was quite good, and the small twist about the Sandfox really sold it for me. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and all that YouTube-y stuff, and that's about it from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.